Anyway, okay. So today we are going to look at the costing and pricing of a fine arts. Um, I have a huge experience in costing and pricing of especially handcraft. So the fine arts has been something that I have ventured to because of the curiosity and how it works in the market space. So if there's anything that you may wish to add, because this will be more like a first formal workshop, not really formal, because I like to have a roundtable discussion and so on. So your input is important for me so that I can refine my materials. I'm going to share a screen. Okay. Can everyone see the screen? Please give me a signal if you're able to see. Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. So costing and pricing in fine arts is all about understanding the value beyond the canvas or a sculpture or anything that you may be using. Um, Fine arts is an intellectual property, skilled labor, and cultural expression. So we are going to look at why is it priced high? The arts that you see most of the time, why are they priced high? And why they should be highly priced. So the reality of being an artist is years of experience, the trying, the failing, and we spend time just doing one art. And also there's material involved. Sometimes you may do and decide that is not working and start all over or throw the entire thing away. And then there's studio cost, there's emotional labor. Unlike the craft design, there's not much emotional labor, but in fine arts, there's a lot of emotion. Is because you are transferring yourself to the canvas. It's more like you are telling a story. So there's so much emotion to it. That is why it takes so long to actually do a beautiful art that actually speaks to people. So looking at costing our work as artists, it costs materials, it costs time, it costs overheads, and it also costs marketing cost, which is more like a true cost. So when we have this true cost, it's more like now we are looking at the prices, not at the price that we will sell our art with, but is actually how much did it cost us to make this one piece. And as I said, the most expensive thing in the art will be the time you spend working on your art more than the material and the overheads. So that's the first thing that actually makes it highly priced. Let's look at the examples. The examples probably on material, you may be spending about 500 rands, which will be something like maybe your canvas piece, your paints, or charcoal and paper, or just any material that you may use. This is just an example. I didn't break it down. And then there's time, as I mentioned, that most of the arts are expensive because of the time that is spent on producing that particular piece. And the overheads may be your rent and your transport. So I've said 300 rands, but overheads are according to each business or each artist, how much are they spending for their overheads. Sometimes even the overheads could be equal with time. The reason being that, sorry about that, in the background, there's a cough of the child, so please excuse me for that. So with the overheads, as I said, that sometimes you could be paying a rent in a studio. It's okay to take the entire rent and actually put it in just one piece. Because remember that with art, we can sell one piece in a month. And so we want to cover all the costs. So it's allowed to take all your overheads and just add them into just one piece, unlike the craft design. And then, so with the example that I have, I added my total cost came down to 2008 rands. And so we have a markup, which is like 5,000 plus. So with fine arts, it's not easy to actually put the markup, exact markup on your art. But the most important thing is that you understand how much it costs you to make one art. And also with the price, remember that there's also the emotional labor that may even affect your price to be higher. As I said, that we put so much into the art piece. And so with the pricing, it's also affected by the positioning. Where are you selling your art? So your price reflects the level of confidence and target market. So as I explained before, last week when we were talking about market positioning, where do you sell your art is very important. The reason why I started with market positioning last week is because that's where it starts. You start with research. You check, like you have to choose where your art should sell. And how do you tell your story? Does it fit within the market where you want to sell? If you are selling in art galleries, which art galleries you want to sell, because that's also important. If you are selling in if you are selling in trade fairs, which ones? You have to be selective. It also affects their price. And then we have to remember that art is not a mass production. We produce one, and the next time you can never find the same. So with us being a limited and scarce, that's another factor that increases the value of it. So it's not like in the craft whereby you can produce 10 of the same or 5 of the same. So with fine arts, it's only one of a kind. It cannot never be repeated. So that's another factor that affects the price. And also remember that in a pricing space, there's also a psychology value. If you price your art higher, it perceives quality, prestige, and investment. And remember that most of the people who are buying art is more like an investment for them. If I'm to speak about the people who don't just use art to beautify their room, but they're actually using it as investment, the people who are rich, they will put money into our art so that they avoid taxes. And they also believe, we know that the more it stays, the longer it lasts, and keeping it originally as it is, not duplicated or whatever, in many years, it will cost a lot. So if you sell it for 10,000 rands today, probably after 20 years, it could be 1.5 million or 3 million even. And that also depend on how much story are you telling about yourself. Remember, all the market positioning, I emphasized that the story is also important, and also having your own style, your own authenticity is also important. So that's the other way of like pushing up your price. So talking about the psychology of the pricing, if you price lower, it leads to burnout and unsustainable practice. Because remember that the people who are collecting art, they are somehow kind of in a competition with each other. So they want to buy the best all the time. And the best in art, it means that it talks to you without even you knowing the artist. And the other thing, it's actually the price is high. It means that it's the art of the value. So the art, for it to be priced well, it starts with the making and also how you dress it up, from the frames that you choose, and also where you sell. So those are the values that you have to look at. So the market comparison, we've spoken about it before, and I still have spoken about it when we're talking about the pricing. As I said, compare the galleries. Look at your peers. Where are they selling? Who are they selling to? How are they selling their art? And that's your market research. Like your market research is more on your competition, your peers, and also the global pricing. If you were to sell outside of Africa, what are the prices? Where are the collectors selling to? Because we have the collectors who come and collect arts in Africa and go to European countries to sell. What prices are they using? You can cut the middleman still. And we have places like Instagram and many places, online galleries where you can sell and so on. Don't price for affordability, price for value. That's a very important point. And I think this is where I stop. So I would love to open up a space whereby we'll have a discussion, like every time when we have our workshops. If you don't understand, you can raise your hand and ask a question, or if you want to share anything about your experience in the art space and see how we can advise. Hello? Okay. Let me start with I don't know if I should call out the names. Looks like I'm pushing. I don't want to sound like I've been pushy. Start with Halima. Hi, Halima. Ayanda. Okay. Um, okay. Oh, okay. Ayanda is saying her mic is giving her some problems. Do you want perhaps to write something on WhatsApp? I can share it on a group and then we can continue talking. Okay, in the meantime, I'll ask Uslobo to share about his experience when it comes to pricing and also marketing his art.
Hey, this push. Yeah, well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, or good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Mm, ngiqalele kuphi? Where should I start, actually? Um, indaba, the costing and the pricing of a fine art. Even myself now, I'm still having challenges here and there, especially on this point that you shared at the end, which you don't price for affordability, but price for value. It's a very important point. And sometimes I might find myself pricing the work for it to sell, for it to be affordable to someone who they can buy it or collect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still like a rather it's still a challenging thing to price fine art. But I'm following like the steps that I learned like when I say in Bali, and I'm still on this workshop to further the what can you call it, to further the understanding on how I can actually price fine art and not overcharge or undercharge the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but for me right now, marketing, I haven't actually been to other maybe platforms. I'm only using Instagram, and yeah, for now I'm only using Instagram, because I think most of my art buyers or people who come to commission work, they have come through um go Instagram mostly. And word of mouth again. I've seen with you also word of mouth is also like this. It still works. Word
O-
of mouth, just being out there and talking to people. It
Okay.
works. It works. So I think I haven't gotten into all these other platforms about artsy and
Okay.
yeah. I think for me now it's working for me. Just these two, word of mouth, um, getting myself out there, talking to people, sharing my story, and also like on Instagram, just sharing J's into that interest people works. Yeah, it's still working for me, but the costing and pricing, the pricing mm, is still a challenge. It's still a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a
O-
challenge.
o- Yeah. What I will actually say in the case of especially the fine arts, because um, I would like to make an example with the my craft because it's high end home decor craft. So it balances with where you sell. Hence, sometimes you don't find confidence to actually push up the prices because we find ourselves targeting being amongst the people that actually cannot afford the type of art that you want to sell with the type of price that you want to sell.
Yeah,
So it goes back to saying that's what I've noticed in with the creatives. We are scared to make a market research and we are scared to approach the people that we want to sell to.
true. Yeah,
We like if I was to ask any of you, how many of you by the show of hands, how many of you said will say I have done market research? Just by the show of hands. Okay. If you haven't done market research, just show the thumbs down. If you have done the market research, a thumb up. Okay.
if it's especially if we have
You have done the market research, a thumb up. You haven't done the market research, a thumb down. So I have Ezekiel, who has done market research, and few other people. So this is somehow a proof that we failed that part because we don't know who to sell to. We love this art so much that we think that, oh, by doing our art, somebody will come from somewhere and say wow and buy. And the other thing, we get pressured to selling because at the end of the day, we want to sustain our businesses and also to afford our lives, because that is why we have our art as a business, not just as a hobby like when we started our art. So hence I'm saying that the balance with the pricing goes with the market research. Where do you want to sell? And can the people that you want to sell to afford that price? And the other thing is that you need to understand what makes money for you. The commissions, you don't have to dismiss them. The commissions, you can still do them. They can be your bread and butter, because the people who like commissions a lot are not the people who necessarily collect art. In most cases, it's just families who want you to do their family portrait, or to do the portrait of themselves or of a child. So those are the bread and butter uh, range, your bread and butter art that will feed you. But the most important one is the one that where you tell your story, where you put all your effort, and that's the one you have to work so hard to understand your market. Who do you want to approach with this type of art? Where do you want to sell? Which art galleries can work for you? So that's very important. You have to balance the price with the market research. I hope I think I covered that so well. Anyone else who may want to add or might have a question? Okay. Let me read a comment from Ayanda. Yes, Slobo. Before I proceed to Ayanda's note.
Mrs. Posha, yeah, this is a really like an important element of business here, like the market research. I like to like maybe we sneak like an in-depth information on how we can actually do this market research, or maybe you're still going to come to it.
We've covered a bit of market positioning in the first session, and then it was just a brief. But I will create a template. In the worksheet that I have sent, there's a section, but it's more like doing a market research on other artists. A research exercise number 4, where you find one artist and that works in a similar way you do. And then you check their style, you check their pricing, you check their audience as well, and how they present their art. So that's in number 4 of the worksheet that I have done for you. But I will also share the one where you actually look at the customers, because these days we can even do a market research in our own homes. You just open the Instagram and check for one person that you think you want to sell to. Maybe let's say you have that person in mind, and then you just open their Instagram. You look where they spend their time. Are they family orientated people, or are they people who travel a lot, or they go clubbing, or what kind of coffee do they drink? Do they share a lot of current affairs and so on? So we get a lot of information of what type of people are these, and what do they dress is also important. Are they people who like quality over brand? You know, so you check for such things, and then you are able to know what kind of a person is this. Will this person spend money on just an art, and which is something that is once off? You know, um, yeah, it's more like stalking. So we can do that. I mean, they put their information online, so it's more like we we can be able to see that information is not hidden. So we can start the market research there. And then you can also do the physical one. So more like the physical one can be taking one piece of art, if you can be able to use the office space or a corporate company where people are earning a lot of money. I'm just making examples. You go there, approach the place and say, I want to put my art in this place. I just want to see the reaction. And then you put maybe two or three pieces in that wall that will ask for them to give for you, to provide for you to do your market research, just to see the reaction. And let it spend about a month there and see who will react to it. Even speak to the receptionist and say, please just keep on introducing that. This is Slobomoyo. He's an artist and this is his work, there should be something, a sign or saying, should, like, in a way that it doesn't feel like it's just another art that is beautifying the office space, but more like a market research, just to see the reaction. That's another way of doing a market research. And also going to the art galleries and see if your art can be able to fit within what they have in their space. That's another market research. Talking to the art gallery owners as well. You can get an advice. Okay. So let's see what Ayanda has said in the group. Okay. Ayanda said, to be honest, I struggle with pricing as well, as I am self-taught artist, and I realized in the first stage that I discredit the amount of time I put into my art, and I have been looking for a way and to understand that. That's why I'm attending the workshop, and I was also advised to use more expensive thread to attract and to feel better. This how much value I put to my time. Yes, it's very important to also select specific materials. Okay, what I under is she does embroidery. So her embroidery is more on the fine art side, not the craft side. The craft, remember, is it's they are the products that, yes, are unique and artistic, but are more functional. Whereas the art is that one that has value, where you put so much time, and most of the time the art is there to beautify the room. So Oanda is yes, she, from what I know from her, she just taught herself to embroider. And so obviously it will start with, now you improve the skill, and then you have to now understand the materials. And then from the materials, you have to now look at the pricing, and then from there, you look at the market. As I said, that it pricing goes with the market research all the time, all the time. So, and also how do you present your art, as I'll always emphasize. So it's very important to know your cost. And when you use a material of quality, I remember I suggested to her that she uses embroidery thread that has been hand dyed and hand spun in Cape Town. Because the most beautiful thing about that is that this artist is based in South Africa, and all the materials are locally made. So already there's a story there that is connecting with her art being a South African art with the with the materials that are sourced locally. And it doesn't matter how expensive they are. The most important thing is that the presentation of your art and the price and the market that you put yourself in. Those are the three important things. So in the worksheets, again, I have questions like the first one, especially for the fine arts, the first one is market research and positioning. I understand your practice, like understanding your practice. Do you understand your practice? Describe your creative practice in few sentences. You have to describe it. Like the more you do these exercises, it's more like you get to understand the art that you do, and you'll have a story for it. And then you have to identify your audience. Who do you think you connect with most? Is it collectors? Is it young professionals? As I said, once you start the market research with your art, you can go to the office space whereby you see, okay, this is like people who are earning something like 500,000 of rents per year to 3.5 millions per annum. And then you can put your art there. And then you know whether you attract young professionals if you want to. And then you can go to places where there are collectors. Maybe let's say there's a trade fair that is of the elite people. You can spend your money. Yes, the entries may be the entry may be expensive, or it may be for the people who are handpicked. Try to find a way of getting to those trade fairs. That's where the collectors are. Or you can you can work with the interior designers. Find one interior designer, work with that one interior designer and say, okay, this is my art. I don't know who are your clients, but I would love to work alongside with you, because they understand their customers. So they will know if they are um, dealing with specific spaces, they know who to contact. So keep yourselves close to the interior designers. And then also the galleries. The galleries are like, there's different types of galleries. That's one other mistake most of the artists make. There's different types of galleries. Choose the gallery that you sell your work to carefully, or where you display your work to carefully. Because there are galleries, trust me, there are galleries of a lower end. There's galleries of high end or middle market. So you have to choose the galleries very, very careful. You have to go around, check in those spaces, do your research, go to 3, 4 galleries before even you can decide that I'm happy with this. Whenever you want your work to be, then it means that's where you set your market to. And also there's corporate clients, as I made an example with companies, and sometimes it could be students or families, or just normal working mothers. So those are the people who who actually get work commission most of the time. Uh, and then, where do you currently share your work? Take note of like the reactions whenever you share your work. To share it on Instagram or market and fairs, galleries, word of mouth, or websites. Take note of those things. Keep the stats of those places. It's very important for you to keep the stats so that you can be able to know where to maximize in terms of marketing. And as I've touched on the market research, so here you look at your peer and then you do all those questions. That will help you to market, you to position your work as well. And also you'll know why and where do you want to sell. And then when you, after all that research and understanding what kind of art you do and what kind of clients you want to approach and which platforms are working for you, and then you go back to your pricing again. Because with art, remember the reason why I'm saying do the market research. With art, remember that you start with the drawing and share it on Instagram and share it on wherever platform, and you get this attention. You are not yet in the stage of selling like as we wish to, but the problem with the art is that we start sharing a lot of our art, but before we even price. So, for example, my son is doing like painting and so on. He will share on his platforms and get the reaction, but the price is not yet there because he believes that he's still learning and not yet pricing, but there'll be reaction to those things. So now with the costing and pricing, material is very important. You calculate your material thoroughly. The labor and time, people are scared to price themselves. They are scared to put the labor cost. That's what I have experienced in my years of training, that when you talk about the labor and you say to them, like I will say to them, I cannot give you the price of how much you want to charge yourself, but this is the market range. And you must also check the rates in your country. Check the rates in the Department of Labor, because that's where you understand. It will somehow give you a guideline how much you can actually cost your labor. Maybe per hour, it can be whatever amount, $10, $5, or whatever that suits you. And then the overheads, that's another cost that most people are overlooking. We take our money, go to buy the materials. We take our money, pay for the art fairs that we attend and put our beautiful art in the space. We take our money, we pay for, we buy airtime, we buy data so that we can be able to market our art, communicate with the customers. Those costs are actually have to be covered by something, and that thing, it has to come from the art that you're selling, because you are using those costs to make your art, those costs to get your material, those costs to actually communicate with your customers. So those costs have to be paid from the art that you'll be selling. So let's not overlook those costs. They are very important. And also we have the cost for marketing as well, you know, the cost of what else? Yeah, there's many costs that we overlook. So so the pricing is a reflection of your work. You price it lower, I'm repeating myself again. You price it lower, it will be difficult for you to be sustainable, and it will look like you're not sure, and it will look like, this person, I cannot buy such a cheap thing, you know. Whereas we have to learn to price for value, not for affordability. Because when we price for affordability, it's easier for us to push the price down. It's very simple to just push the price down just because we want to sell. Yes, I understand that we have to cover our costs. We have to get ourselves, our lives going, because everything costs in life. You have to buy yourself groceries and leave, but don't price for affordability. That's what kills your art, because art is a once-off thing. It's not a mass production. So that's where I will end for now. Do you have any questions? Does anyone have questions or something to share? Priska? Okay. Okay. Yvonne, will you like to share? Okay, Slobo's hand is up.
Thank you, Sis Posh. Where is the worksheet for on how we're going to tackle this market research thing? Like a detailed, like in a presentation, yeah. Where are we getting it?
Uh, I have shared the worksheet on the group.
Okay.
Yes.
WhatsApp.
Yeah.
On WhatsApp.
Yes, on WhatsApp group. But then I said for market research for customers, I'll work on that and we'll share it. Can you give me up to Tuesday? I'll share that. I want to design it carefully
Okay.
so that you can be able to fill it with ease.
Okay.
All right.
But now, so, I've had interesting what you talked about galleries, like
Yeah.
going to galleries and meeting these gallery owners and talking to them.
Yeah.
Now, is it advisable to actually carry your work with like physically, like to show them so that they can see all these things of Kunumangazo, like the material, um, how you produce the artwork, and then and also it's like its value, how long it's going to last. Which if someone has to buy it or collect it, is it going to stay that long for you to accumulate also like more wealth? Doesn't jalo. So is it advisable to carry your work physically, or you just like pop in and talk about it?
Yeah.
How close can we tackle it?
I think having pictures on your phone, because now we have smartphones, and just talk about your art, or having a portfolio, like a digital portfolio whereby it explains everything about your art, in case maybe they may say, send me something, I want to learn more about your art. And then you have the portfolio of that work or of that collection that you are working with. That will be the best, other than carrying your work around, because it's just too much logistics.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
With that, with the portfolios, and I remember like I created some like portfolios and for different series that I've done. I keep them in my phone.
Yes, that's perfect. That's the way to go. You
Okay.
just make it, you make your portfolio more presentable and
Okay.
professional, and the pictures have to be of high quality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Hey,
Okay. Does anyone have a question or anything to add?
and again, Portia. I need to we're doing this thing, and we find we tell them the industry has these labels. Can I say is it labels or whatever they call it? Which you might find which good my classes, yeah, let me say classes. Find which they are upcoming artists, intermediate artists or middle, whatever, and established artists in Tanzania.
Yeah.
And now the pricing now it gets confusing because you might find yourself with okay, fine, sikhuluma ngale nto ukuthi you have to price. You don't have to price for affordability, but price for value. And
Mhm.
now you are valuing your work to an extent which you find out which you are pricing. Maybe let's say you're still like recognized as an upcoming artist, but now your work is you're pricing your work as if you are an established artist or a mid-career artist like that. So how do you actually um work around the prices regarding to that? Ngoba, hey, the industry man is
It's tricky, ne?
kind of weird. Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah,
Yeah, because of such levels.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, as I said, that you have to balance it against the market that you want to approach. That's the first thing. That's it, very important. Where do you want to sell your art and how do you want it to be seen? So the space where you sell is very important. Yes, I understand that there's there's upcoming artists or there's mid-career artists and then there's world-known artists. And let me just speak about the ceramics that I know. Oh, Andile Jalivan. Andile, I forgot the surname is just too long. It's a Xhosa surname. I
Yeah,
don't know if you
Galvania.
must.
Yeah,
Hmm?
I did Galvania.
Yeah, Majolandile Jalivan. Yes, he started while he was still in university to do the the ceramic and started, I mean, entering the market while he was still studying. And he didn't start at the bottom. Like he identified his market and he started at the top because starting at the top somehow makes it easier for you to penetrate the market that you want. But when you start at the bottom, it's difficult for you to go up because people know you for cheap. I don't know if you understand. Even if you are at the entry level, if you want to get to a space whereby people are like buying the art for 1 million rands, né? And then you want to get to the space. Rather have a piece that will be like 500 or 600 and position it and how you present it. It should say that that's your entry level. That's how you enter the market with a price that is like, wow, I'm not sure if they will buy. But you are putting yourself in the space whereby you say, this is how much I want to sell my products and I want to go higher. And you put yourself in that space of the highest selling, like the prestige, your elite place, your collectors, as an entry with a slightly higher price. Because when you take yourself as an entry level and you put yourself in a lower market to say, hi, let me start here, I'm just a slow and this is okay. Let me sell for this much. I'm okay there. I'll go up. It might affect your journey to go where you want to go. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
Um, I'm trying to get an example of that everyone can understand. I will use let me use Balenciaga. Something that we know. Let me use Balenciaga. As crappy as his designs are, let me use Balenciaga.
Hey,
When they started, they didn't start at the low because they were at the entry level. Remember that they got in to the design space where there was Louis Vuitton and all these big dogs. And they entered to the space of these big dogs. They didn't say, hi, we are just a puppy. Let's stay there at the back and eat our bones. But they said, we want the fattest meat in this space of this market. We want to compete with these people. It doesn't matter what was our style. They were brave. And they say, we are getting here. So art is the same. You can say I'm in an entry level. Where do you want to be known? That's the most important thing. Where do you want to be known? Is more important than leveling yourself. I hope I've answered as much as I can, or anyone can chip in a bit. Okay. Oh, okay. Sobo, are you okay with the?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. So basically, you're saying I shouldn't like wait for the market or the industry to actually
Yeah.
price for me in a way.
Yeah. Yes. And
I
the
should.
other thing that I would like to emphasize is that most of the artists, as I said last week on the market positioning, most of the entry level artists, they tend to do a whole lot of things. Like when I'm talking about the whole lot of things, you do painting. Tomorrow you are doing charcoal. Tomorrow you are doing that. Like you don't have your own style, like your own style, in a sense that we'll say, even when I'm just entering a room whereby you are not there, I can be able to say, hi, that is Sobulu. This is Sobo's work. You understand?
Mm,
So we need to find a way of also letting our art speak for us in our absence. Try to be consistent with the work. That's the very important thing. Let us be consistent. Remember, when we look at I'm trying to pick up an artist. Um, when we look at Da Vinci's work, even the ones who are doing his similar work, the first thing that we see is Da Vinci, because he made that style that lasted with him until the end, his end, and beyond. So we have to try as much as we can while we are in that entry level to find that niche. It's very important to have a niche in the arts. Let your work speak for yourself. Even if you can do a different piece tomorrow, let your hand be seen before we even read your signature. Let's not be all over. Let's try to somehow let the collections that we have our own niche in it, and the taste and our style. Carry our style through and through. It doesn't matter what collection you're doing, but the collection should actually say, this is Portia, this is Portia. Even in the absence of Portia, before a person even reads a signature at the bottom, the person can be able to say, this is Portia's work. That's another thing, because in the market, when you in the entry level, this is how it works. You a collector will get to a space and then see this artist for the first time and get wow. But because they don't know them, they want to build a relationship with the art. Remember, they are not building a relationship with you per se, but with the art, because they'll be taking it home. So they'll look at the art and they'll be like, this is so great. And then take up the name and remember the name. Say, okay, Portia Tenjwayo. And then just carry through and collect the other art that's unknown. Maybe collect one or two, go home. And then another exhibition happens. And then they read through who will be exhibiting. Portia Tenjwayo appears there. And then he gets to the gallery or the trade fair, And then Portia Tenjua has done something totally different. And yet, this person has a connection with that painting, how Portia is using the lines and the shadows and all those things. And now the collector is expecting to see the similar style of Portia. And then comes the collector to the space. Portia has done the sculpture now. Like, let's try to make our work connect with each other. Find a way to let them be, like, connect. Your style should be seen, should be consistent all the way through. Okay. Does anyone have questions?
Hey, this is good. Yeah, with what you've just said now. So, and now I find myself so invested in two mediums.
Yeah,
Um, that is clay and sketching or painting, if I can say.
yeah,
So clay is more inclined to craft, if I can say that. And then now my sketches and my paintings are now like it's visual. It's visual, whatever they call it. So I'm in between. I'm creating these two. I'm in ceramics and I'm in painting and sketching. So does this mean I have to choose? Which, okay, am I a ceramist or am I a painter or a sketcher? Should I choose? Ngoba both of these things, like, they tell my story. This is how I
yeah.
tell my story. So if I if I abandon one medium, then my story is not
You feel
complete.
lost.
Yeah, my story is not complete. Yeah, but in danger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting that you'll ask you such a question. There's one artist who I'm trying to and I have his contacts. He's based in Cape Town. He's doing both painting on the canvas, and also he does the ceramic. And when we look at his work, both the ceramic and the fine and the painting, they speak to each other. They connect, not because he'll do the same art as he will do on a ceramic, but there's a style that he uses on both that actually bring them together. Um, Let me try to find this artist. I'll share his socials with
Okay.
you. Yes.
Okay.
I share his socials. So when I say to you, you don't have to be all over, because I've seen most of the artists, like, even if you are doing that ceramic and the painting and or drawing or whatever, as I said, they have to connect. They don't have to be so separate. And the other thing, the way to present it is that you have both when you're exhibiting, have both of your work, and it should speak that connection, as you are saying, is a continuation of your work from the other. So there has to be that connection between the two. They must not look totally different. Imagine if you were doing that you're painting, and then you have this sculpture that is completely different from your painting. That's what I'm saying. Or have all painting, but they look like they've been done by three different artists. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, be consistent with the work. Even if that collector can come back later to the other event, let the connection be there. If you are using line drawings on your, maybe let's say your style is line drawing on your drawings, on your canvas or paper, And then it should be line drawing as well on your there should be something that connects the two, unlike keeping them completely separate. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I understand. But that's one of the things that I'm still working on. Like, I don't know if ngoba ngithi we are artists, we just create, like we create from like intuition, or is it a message or whatever it is that compels us to create. So now, but kwamele sibuyele in that mindset yokuthi whatever I'm doing, it should connect. Yeah, so
Mm,
I think I'm still at that point where I'm trying to connect my, paintings and my ceramics. I don't know if they connect or not. Feel they connect because I'm creating from that, with that energy. So, but maybe it might look different to the consumers or to collectors or to anyone who's viewing them. They will be surprised. Ah, so this is also you. Yeah. So that thing, I don't know. I'm still also trying to maneuver that connection.
yeah. Yeah, I'll look at I'm trying to remember this artist. And I have his number on my phone. That's the funny thing. But I forgot his name. Then as soon as I have that, I'll share with you so that you can see his work. It's mostly color. He uses color a lot. Even in his ceramic, he uses lots of colors, a lot. And in his paintings, there's color a lot. So you can see the connection between the two. When you see the one, there's no doubt that you actually think about the ceramic. When you see the ceramic, there's no doubt that you think about the painting. So
Mm,
he actually mastered that. That's what I like about his work.
okay.
Yeah. And
Mm,
yeah, there's few artists who are doing that, but uh I can say about 60% of them is difficult for you to see that connection. And then 40% they somehow master that connection between the two different mediums. So I want you to be that one who masters that connection so that when I go to somewhere and I say, hey, this is Kobo's ceramic, this is Kobo's painting, you know, no one should doubt that. Any questions? Okay. So I believe that this has been a lovely session. I must say I enjoyed it. Thank you for the questions, Slobi. Thank you for the engagement. I believe that we are learning and we'll keep on growing as we learn. I'm also learning myself. And if you have any suggestion about my presentation or any comment, please let me know. It's very important for me. I want to keep on improving my work and also to make it better so that we can all win because we want to sustain our businesses as well. Thank you. It was a great evening. Good night.
thank you, Pasha. Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night.